influence. You know this man. He is the one and only Lee Sterling from ParamountSports.com as we continue with our weekly look around both college and now the NFL season. How about that, Lee? In fact, your game of the week is kicking off in less than 25 minutes. The start of the season, it's going to be wild with Buffalo and the Rams. And hey, it's a great way to get people introduced to ParamountSports.com.
Yeah, they want to get the game for free. Just call 800-400-9741. We'll give them that game for free. We're 19-11 since the first preseason game through last weekend. So if you're looking for an edge, everyone wants to win that first game in the NFL. You feel good about yourself. Call that number 800-400-9741.
I like the background right now. We're in your man cave. It looks impressive. You got a basketball in the background, a football with looks like a college football. Is that a gamer, Lee? What do we have there? What is that?
That's actually a game ball from high school. We beat our rival school. So I played at a school called Palmer. We were the Palmer Pirates. We played and we played for what's called the Biscayne Ore. Both schools are on the ocean, and we won 30-0. It went 14 for 287 yards in that game. So I got the game ball. Still had that from 40 years ago.
I love that. Listen, if I went for 14 out of 14, you better believe I'd want the game ball in a performance like that.
Well, here's an ironic twist to it. So my grandfather, unfortunately, my grandmother passed away right before I was born. He married a woman who already had a child. He went to our rival, Ransom. And so I actually was playing my uncle. He was my uncle in that game. So, I mean, ironic twist there. I'll never forget this. My younger brother, who's a year younger, knocked the living you-know-what out of him on a kickoff team one time. And he said, welcome to Palmer football.
Oh, I love that. That's phenomenal. So that's what, hey, we're talking Florida football back really when? Early 80s?
Just the late 70s, early 80s.
Yep.
This might be the only time I ever do it. So actually there was some lightning that hit my building. So I've done the last 4 interviews from the man cave at my house, and I'll, obviously stay home and watch the game tonight. But sometimes I don't get home till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, Eastern time. But I have the 72 Dolphins signed by all the 72 Dolphins in my man cave. Also a picture of got LeBron and D Wade when they won their last championship. It means a lot to me. Unfortunately, I had my younger sister. That was the last game we went together before she passed away from cancer. And then I have to have a game ball, basketball that my daughter, she sang the national anthem at a Utah Jazz game. They sent her the game ball with her picture on it. So a lot of, I don't have a whole lot of clutter here, but the few pieces I have mean a lot to me.
Sounds good. Well, I know for our listeners, your picks mean a lot to them. So why don't we jump right into them? 4 games this week, 3 in college, 1 in the NFL. We'll begin with BYU and Baylor. BYU 3-point favorites over the Bears. This has a chance to be one of the most entertaining games of college football this week.
I agree. And last year, I thought that BYU was going to go into Baylor and win easy. I was dead wrong. What happened? Baylor ran for over 300 yards in that game, for over 6.5 yards per carry. And I believe, if memory serves me correct, I think that BYU had something like 60-something yards rushing, just a little over 2 yards a carry. Now, almost every lineman, offensive lineman, defensive linebacker, and defensive lineman returned for both teams. It's like 90%. I think it's like it's going to be the same type of game here. I just think a Big 12 team is going to beat an independent at this level. Now, maybe not Notre Dame, but Baylor, it really goes under the radar. And then on top of that, the top 2 receivers for BYU, who are both really good, are a game time decision. Even if they play, they're maybe 80-85%. I like Baylor. I think they'll win this game here, something like 27-20.
Let's take us to our second game now of the week, Alabama and Texas. This is the one that all Longhorn fans are excited about. They're playing this in Austin, yet the Crimson Tide, the 20.5-point favorites after Texas was able to win. And you watched that game. Yours was slow start, but he got better and looked pretty impressive. Is 20.5 pretty accurate, or do you think that the Horns could keep this one close?
They're going to have to play really good defense to stay in this game. And they returned 7 starters. I just don't see any of their guys on defense that are difference makers. Nothing like Will Anderson for Alabama, who might be the first pick in the NFL draft if the team doesn't need a quarterback. He's that good. So people don't realize, they talk about the Alabama offense, but their defense, they allowed just 2.7 yards per carry last year. They didn't have 37 or 47 sacks. They had 57 sacks. And the Texas offensive line gave up 3 sacks last week against Louisiana Monroe. You got to think that Alabama is going to get 5 or 6 sacks here. I think this is a tough game here for Texas. On top of that, I don't think Alabama is going to be overconfident. I think their battle cry on the road, every road game, is remember Texas A&M from last year. Sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it. I like Alabama here, big. Roll Tide, 48-20.
I love it. Lee with us from ParamountSports.com as we continue our weekly chat. All right, Battle of I-10. Both teams looking for their first win of the season, Miners and the Aggies. I've seen this going up as high as 16 or 17 in the last 24 hours. We're going to play it at 14, where it's been for much of the week. Miners at home, 2 touchdown favorites over the Aggies. You've probably watched a little bit of these two teams the first couple of weeks. Give me your thoughts.
Well, you could have gone to sleep for a quarter and you wouldn't have missed much on offense for either team. Combined, these two teams haven't scored 50 points. So I think that UTEP will get on track here. The problem for when you watch New Mexico State, no offense. They can't push the ball down the field. You got to make explosive plays. They just are not able to do that. They're even now starting to have some breakdowns on defense. If you watched the game last week where Minnesota played them, they were merciful in not running up the score. I mean, that score could have been 58-0 instead of 38-0. I think it's going to be a nice, easy win here for UTEP. I think they win this game here, 41-14.
All right. That would be big for Miner fans. Just they could put 41 points on the Aggies for sure. Let's go now to Tampa and the Cowboys. This will be our final game of the week, our only NFL game. Bucks 1.5 on the road, favorites over the Cowboys. Tom Brady has had a very interesting preseason with all of the off-the-field drama. There's been rumblings that with the offensive line being battered, Brady's health might not be, might be tested a little bit this year. You tell me, is the right team favored with the Cowboys getting 1.5 at home?
So I think the pressure is off Dallas. And I can say that for maybe the first time in 25 years. Really not a lot of high expectations this year. They lost some receivers. They lost their left tackle, Smith. He's going to be out for a while. So they might go under the radar, believe it or not. And I've never said that in maybe 25 years. They had the number 1 offense last year, over 400 yards a game, almost 32 points. As bad as they played in that first half against San Francisco last year, they still only came up 24 yards short. So I think that Tampa's got some problems. When you're missing 3 of your top 4 offensive linemen, as quick as Tom Brady's releases, it's going to be even quicker this year. He's going to want to stay out of harm's way. No Gronk, possibly no Godwin for this game here. I think Tampa Bay is headed for a rough season. I like Dallas. The wrong team is favored. I like the Cowboys here, 28-24.
All right, Lee, let's talk about what you've got at ParamountSports.com right now. In fact, with the NFL season underway, you have put together a 3-week football package. Tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, so if you've never been with me before, you don't have to jump in for the season. Try me through September 30th. 3 weeks of football. We rate our selections from 10 to 50 units. We have maybe 140 to 50 unit play every month. We have a 40 to 50 unit play going this weekend in football. We also we average probably 10 to 14 games a week. So you're not like you're going to get 3 or 4 games a weekend. Probably 10 to 14 per week. Probably 5 to 6 on a Saturday, 3 to 4 on a Sunday, and then you got these Monday, Thursday, Friday games. We'll also throw in the UFC card for Saturday night, UFC pay-per-view, $279, where we have a 50-unit selection. We won 14 of the last 16 40 to 50 unit plays in the UFC. We're over 76% in football the last decade on these big plays. And we're going to throw in a 40-unit selection in baseball where we're up over 35 more wins and losses baseball this season. So no one does it better. All three things, $297 through September 30th, ParamountSports.com.
Lee Sterling, you're the best, man. We appreciate the time. I hope the office recovers quickly from the lightning strike, but I'm impressed with the man cave. The man cave looks good, and I could tell that now I know why you like to be in there. There's a lot of cool stuff in there for sure.
Thanks so much, Steve. You have to come down and visit one time, all right?
We'll do so. There he is.